Welcome to the dark. I collect stories people don't want to tell. Some are real. Some should have stayed hidden.
If you work the night shift at a small railway station outside the city, you get used to the silence. By midnight, the platform clears out entirely. The final scheduled train leaves at 11:46 p.m., and after that, the tracks are supposed to be empty until dawn. But at 12:06 a.m., the tracks began vibrating. A train pulled into the station, completely bypassing the safety warning sensors. It moved toward the platform despite the blank space on the official timetable. Inside, roughly 20 passengers sat in perfect silence. Nobody spoke, nobody looked at their phones, and nobody even appeared to breathe. They wore a strange mix of clothing styles. One man in a 1960s suit, a little girl clutching an old-fashioned suitcase. An elderly woman near the doors slowly stood up. She stared directly at me, stepped backward, and whispered a simple, terrifying warning. "Don't get on." Then the station's public address system crackled to life on its own. Instead of listing a city or a transfer point, the automated voice announced the next stop as "Your home." The train operates outside the public transit grid, arriving only when it has a specific person to collect. It is a targeted mechanism, built to find someone still standing on the platform who shouldn't be there. The older station employees already knew about it. A senior worker named Mr. Rao explained that the 12:06 train only materializes when someone nearby has survived an event that was meant to be fatal. The station office kept a 20-year-old handwritten note hidden in the records. It was a makeshift survival guide containing 7 highly specific rules, with Rule 6 underlined so many times the ink had nearly torn the paper. These rules dictated strict behaviors: never board, never ask a passenger where they are going, and never wave back. But the warning in Rule 6 was the most specific. You must never step onto the train if you recognize someone inside. The final rule describes a closed loop. A single arrival at 12:06 is a warning, but if that train arrives twice in the same night, the logic changes. A second appearance means the train has already found what it was looking for. These directives offer no room for error. A single misstep converts a bystander into a permanent passenger. Survival depends entirely on following a system that seems as fragile as the paper it was written on. I found out how that system works later that same night. At 12:06 a.m., the train returned. The doors slid open directly in front of me, and the station speaker announced my name, Daniel Mercer. Every figure inside the cabin reacted at the exact same moment. Dozens of passengers turned their heads toward the doors, locking their eyes on me. Sitting near the back was my younger brother. I hadn't seen him since we were children, but there he was, aged up to the exact year he would have been today. He stood up, walked toward the open doors, and smiled. Pointing to an empty seat right beside him, he told me he had been waiting. The urge to cross the threshold was overwhelming, but Rule 6 held me back. I refused to board for someone I knew, and took a step away from the edge of the platform. The moment I refused, the illusion shattered. My brother's smile vanished, and when he screamed, his voice splintered into dozens of distinct voices. The familiar face was just bait used to lure me in. The train abruptly stopped. Every light inside the passenger cars went dark, leaving only a single silhouette visible in the driver's cabin, a figure with no face. The machine then glided off the tracks. Its headlights swept across the bare concrete platform as it began to move toward me, tracking my movement even though there were no rails to guide it. I sprinted into the station office, locked the door, and waited in the dark. The train idled outside the walls for hours until dawn broke, and the station finally returned to normal. When I reviewed the security footage the next morning, I saw myself standing on the platform, but sitting inside the train car, looking through the glass, was a second version of me staring back at myself. Looking at that footage, the timeline stops making sense. If I was on the platform and inside the car at the same moment, then the version of me that ran for the office was just a delay in the system. I didn't actually escape. The train was just showing me what had already happened. I quit the railway that day, but the anomaly followed me. Now, whenever the clock strikes 12:06 a.m., my phone lights up with a reservation confirmation for passenger Daniel Mercer. If you ever find yourself standing alone on a platform after midnight and a locomotive arrives that doesn't appear on the schedule, stay away from the doors. These trains don't carry people from one station to another. They come for those of us who manage to survive a day that the rest of the world thinks we already missed.